fortunate enough again because of the work put in to be drafted by the New England Patriots in the third round, their second pick, so 84th pick overall in 2005.
before you jumped into trading. So what trading or the markets had that interested you more than just running a business?
It's not that it interested me more. It was that I started to learn that trading is very volatile. You have something over here always working for you. And then, any person of success, billionaires, millionaires, just successful, wealthy people, there's always multiple streams of income.
And what do you currently look in this market environment? Like, how are the financial markets doing, and how's your response to it?
It reminds me more of like 2017, 2016. I think the only difference is, I mean, the frequency of the trades are like that, but the actual longevity of the trades is not that, to where you have to take the profits a lot quicker.
Welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. No complaints. It's Friday. Um, just locked in. I don't really look at it as a weekend. More for me, especially with entrepreneurs and traders. Like we're looking forward to getting to Monday. But other than that, yeah, it's another day for me.
And I just want to go a little bit in your journey and background, knowing that you are a former NFL player.
Yeah, so I guess a brief synopsis of who I am in general, or what I identify with. Um, First and foremost, my name is Ellis Hobbs III, but my trader name is Art of War. And so I started trading in 2016 after my transition from major transition from the NFL, National Football League. But prior to that, I come from Dallas, Texas. Um, I wasn't born there. I was born in New York. However, Texas is what I know and what I gravitate towards and most familiar with. Very, very heavy background in sports, naturally, just because of Texas, the South, football specifically. But I played pretty much everything. My parents, they're still married, both are still alive, thank goodness. And they were in the military. My father, most decorated, Sergeant Major E9, two tours in Vietnam. And so, with that background of my mother being in the military as well, ROTC and things, I had a very structured environment growing up. And so, having that structured environment, I actually gravitated towards it a lot. I understood it, I knew why it existed. Obviously, I made mistakes as a kid, but I started to recognize very early in age that structure brings consistency. Consistency brings some sort of success with processes. And so as I did that, I implemented it into sports. I implemented it into education and anything I did, because I always felt like if I'm going to put my name on it, if I'm going to do it, I might as well give it 110%, because you never know. And at the end of the day, I always want to be looked at not necessarily for the achievements, but more importantly of what I've overcome. But then the consistency at which I did everything, and intensity, right? So I carried that all throughout my childhood, going into high school. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to Iowa State University, full ride for football. Got from there and played 4 years, very successful, all Big 12, all conference, all American status, all those things, accolades. And then I was fortunate enough, again, because of the work put in, to be drafted by the New England Patriots in the third round, their second pick. So 84th pick overall in 2005. And so, again, for what I have done in my life, it was just another stepping stone because of the work put in. And so every milestone that would come, I looked at it more as like it as expected, because why not? I put the work in. And so being undersized, not necessarily having all of the qualities X, Y, and Z, a lot of people look at you and feel as if you know, the eye test is the only thing to measure, right? But the intangibles for me were really what I honed in on. And I enjoyed being in the darkness, working in the dark, and just honing my craft, my skills, my body, whatever it was. And when I was able to do that, it allowed me to be very successful on a multitude of levels. And so going through getting out of college, getting into the NFL, dreams achieved. And unfortunately, in 2010, or 2010, I had my first accident of where I broke my neck, and I ended up being slightly paralyzed a little bit, but it was more of just a stinger or a burn, if you're familiar with that terminology. And it was just one of those things to where I didn't understand what happened. Um, it was just I don't want to say a freak accident, but it was divinity. It was supposed to happen, and so I ended up getting a surgery that fixed that one, but unfortunately came back the next year, the following year of 2010, 2011, and it happened again. And that time it left me paralyzed temporarily for about 20 or 30 minutes. And so unfortunately I had to retire, short of my career, of what I thought my expected career was going to be. And so I got 6 full seasons in. I attempted 7, but I just couldn't do it, and I had to figure things out. And so I got out of that and started to transition into the world of entrepreneurship and business and just workforce in general. And it was hard because all I knew was sports. I grew up on that. I worked very hard, but I had never really had a job, you know, of the magnitude of supporting a family, which I had now, and all these other things. So, working at the grocery store, fast food restaurants, I've done that again. I worked very hard, but I just didn't know what to do. And so I just started to put feet to the pavement and just started to really try to work through things. And man, a lot of hard lessons learned. Got into entrepreneurship, put out a lot of money, systems, processes, people failed me. And I started to realize that the world isn't what I thought it was. Everybody doesn't work like you. They can talk a good game, but when it's time to get into the flow of actually doing it and putting foot to the pavement, you start to meet who your tried and true friends are. And so very frustrating, to say the least. Again, time and time again, I looked for resources, but I just couldn't find any. I had little stints of success, but nothing really sustainable. And so, through a myriad of trials and tribulations, maybe from about 2012 all the way to 2015, um, again, I executive produced a film with my wife that had somewhat of success. Started a company with one of my good friends, business partners, lifestyle management company that did very well. But again, it wasn't sustainable enough on a day to day basis livelihood. So I got into the world of sales, corporate America, and I figured, all right, I'll be able to control my narrative there. But even there, with the success that I had, again, putting in the work, doing my due diligence, all those things, I was still capped, ceilings, territories, tenured. I come in as a young person, very, very motivated, very driven, but still wasn't feeling rewarded. And then more importantly, I was still at the mercy of someone else. And so, 2016, I wanted to transition out of that, and I couldn't do it all the way, but I was introduced to trading, again, by that good friend, business partner. And I went from there and just started to learn the process. Well, immediately when I got into trading, I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know what a 401k was up until around the age of like 24, 22. And so my financial background was very minimal. And so, getting into the world of trading, I just saw people making money very quickly. And I saw a multitude of people. Now, hindsight, I didn't realize a lot of those people are, liars, and they're just making things up. But I saw that it was possible. And so I was introduced to Timothy Sykes. I got into his program. I wrote him a long letter telling him, who I was, what I was all about, and the due diligence that I saw. I saw that, man, like, okay, this guy, he's showing off Lamborghinis, he's with girls and all this stuff. And this is a different Tim Sykes back then. I get it, but I had been around all that, so that didn't really impress me. Been there, done that, seen a lot. But what I did notice is that he was trying to teach athletes, and I was like, okay. But the two athletes that he was teaching at the time in this promotional video, I recognized them, and I said, "Man, I know who those guys are," and I could just tell they weren't paying attention. And so, in my letter, I wrote, I said, "Hey, man, I see you're trying to teach athletes X, Y, and Z, and from what I can see, no one's been successful. But I assure you, if I'm allowed to be into the program, and I become successful at this, which I believe I will be one of your greatest marketing weapons, because again, I don't see anyone that looks like me and from my background." And so, sure enough, um, I got in, and whether I was going to get denied or not, I don't know. But I got into the flow of things and immediately started to lose money. Again, just dumping money in, and wasn't following a process. And so what I didn't realize is that the markets weren't that much different than my day to day life of leading up to where I am now. of putting in the work, putting in the discipline, the time, and the journey. And as you think about it, one of the biggest sobering moments for me was as a child, I conducted myself as a professional. I was fortunate enough to be around some successful athletes, and I saw how they conducted themselves. And so I conducted myself the same way, so that when I did become a professional, again, it was very natural because I had been doing it all along. I applied those same methodologies to trading. And so as I started to identify with that, things started to kind of clear up for me. It took about 2.5 years, 3 years of pain, but it clicked. So I was down within 2.5 years, approximately $40,000. But my energy, my perseverance, and my overall desire to believe and win was still there. I just simply needed to, fix what was going on with me. And then, sure enough, that started to happen slowly but surely. And in a matter of 2.5 months or so, I ended up recouping most of those losses, not through big wins or anything like that. The market obviously was ripe. It was the right timing for it, but literally just taking the right setups and just letting them play out. And I got my account all the way up to about $25,000. And ended up losing within about a month and a half those same gains. But I saw that it was possible, and then from there, I just continually worked my way up. So much to the point now where I have other businesses. I've become very stable in what I do. With some other things as well. But I'm a mentor and a chat room moderator for Timothy Sykes now. And I help others not only just trade, but create a lifestyle for themselves of focus and professionalism.
You had a very tough time. Like, I would love to ask, like, who was that support system?
Well, naturally, my family. But unfortunately, with anything, if you're telling them something that they're not necessarily familiar with you, it's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't want you to succeed. They just don't understand, right? And so, and rightly so, because again, it's your desire, it's your passion. So, but I've always had the support and backing of my family. They love me regardless, and overall, they know that for the who I am and what I do, that I'm going to figure it out. But growing up as a kid, my mother and my father were a strong support background. They trained us. I'm not going to even say that they taught us. They trained us to not believe that you couldn't. Just believe that it hasn't happened yet. And so when I started to get into those mindsets, um, I just continually applied that, over and over and over again, in so many different arenas, and going from there. And then as coming into an adulthood, and that period of teenager to adulthood, it was such a strong presence as a kid that it doesn't really leave you. And so you see so much success from it that you just start to lean heavily into it, knowing that it'll be there. But then as I got to an adult, meeting my wife, becoming my support, my rock, my background, my kids, just from the natural love that they give, all those things were there. So yeah, I've always been supported throughout my journey, and honestly, that's my why. When things do get tough, when it feels as if things aren't going right, I'm able to lean into those people that support me because they believe in me. I'm not saying that I couldn't do it without them, but it's one of those things to where it's a very very um, beneficial weapon when you do have that support and that backing, because for those down days or those moments, which there still will be, it's always good to distract yourself with the love. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I didn't. I didn't. I guess hindsight now, that's kind of crazy, but the double-edged sword to that is that that's how I got here, because I burned the boats, and I said I put too much work in to not get here, and so through injury, through pain, everything else, it allowed me to. I'm not saying that that's the right way. I'm just saying it worked for me. And so again, you have to think about, for someone like myself, I shouldn't have been thinking that way. Being only 5'10", at the time, 180 pounds, whatever it was. Yeah, I was strong, this and that. But again, I just didn't pass the eye test with anybody. But all I knew is that if you allowed me the opportunity to perform, I wouldn't fail it. because I had put so much work in, right? And so I don't care what professional background it is, the confidence and the conviction comes from the work. It comes from the repetition. It comes from, the consistency of that and the intensity of it, right? To where when you're put into those moments, there is no flinching because you've literally done this, you know, each and every day or so consistently that it doesn't matter who's on the other side. They're just in the way. They're just in the way of what your overall goal is to accomplish. So whether you're playing tennis, whether you're playing golf, I mean, you look at some of the most successful people in the world. There's common themes, there's common strands of DNA with that, and you constantly are hearing that, the art of repetition, the willingness to continue on, regardless, and positive affirmations. There's a lot of common things within that, and so again, I didn't know what that was, growing up, but looking back, I completely resonate with it because that's how I felt and that's what I did.
before you jumped into trading? So what trading or the markets had that interested you more than just running a business?
It's not that it interested me more. It was that I started to learn that trading is very volatile, and while I'm learning this, um, I have to be able to have some sort of stability mentally. So with a professional athlete, you don't make it to those levels. Again, you can appreciate this. You don't make it to certain levels if you don't have the physical qualities or the physical capabilities, right? What really separates a lot of the professionals versus everyone else is the ability to control the mind and control the things that destabilize you, right? And so when I was trading, I started to notice my mind would be in certain areas all over the place. And a lot of it was this fear of not being able to make money and not being able to support my family. And so for any new trader, I encourage them, if you're trading, obviously you want to try to give yourself some sort of, I don't know, confidence to say I can trade and just make money from trading and live the life that I live. But I would actually say, and I would actually combat that with, find a business partner. And what I mean by a business partner, meaning supplemental income. Find something that's going to keep you stable so that you can have a stable mind while trading. Because if you're constantly thinking about the money, you're probably going to lose. I tell my mentees this all the time, our students, profits are a foregone conclusion so long as the process is accurate. But if you're so distracted with the money and you're focusing in on that, you're not really honing in on the process. You're just seeing the money for what it's not. And so, but if you have that job, if you have something else that's holding that balance while you're trying to figure this out, or for those professional traders already that haven't really, they may have those down days. You have something over here always working for you. And then, any person of success, billionaires, millionaires, just successful, wealthy people, there's always multiple streams of income. So again, naturally, I was already doing these things in the business world, but I started to lean back into those things and started to create more business for myself and started creating revenue streams so that I could have some sort of stability of success in trading as well. So I never quit my job at sales until I felt totally comfortable of removing myself from that, because it was now becoming more of a distraction where I couldn't be readily available for a certain trade or what have you. And the income was substantiating my me wanting to leave that job. So I'm making more over here now doing this than I am over here with everything else. Why would I stay here?
Let's say a case, you're still grinding, you're still trying to learn. How would a day in the life of Alice would look like?
Yeah, so again, pretty consistent. I wake up typically around 3:30, 3:45 in the morning. Markets open at 4. If I had a trade on like this morning, I'll pay attention to it or I'll watch it. But if not, normally I'm not in overnight trades. I don't like that, that again, that destabilization of the mind. If it's a great setup, yes, but I prefer not to be. I'm up in the morning, just getting focused with myself. I try not to check my phone, which sometimes is a bad habit. Um, what I'll do is I'll meditate, and I'm actually in the book right now, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And so, executing some of the things that are going on in there as far as the success formula, I've memorized the entire self confidence formula and putting that into action, as well as some other things. But beyond the meditating spiritually, I am a true believer in Christ, Lord Jesus, And as far as being in the Word, the Bible, those things, I try to get in tune with Him in the silence. I think people are very uncomfortable in silence, and those are the moments where I really get to understand and know myself. It's scary sometimes to think about certain things, but you have to think about them. You have to address them. You have to face them, right? So from about 4:15 in the morning till about 6:30, it's really just about me. It's self-reflecting in on me and like, what do I need to do to make myself better? I'm getting to students' watch lists. I'm curating watch lists, commentary, those types of things, because again, holding myself accountable. Getting into that, studying some of the charts that I've been paying attention to. Again, if I have a trade on or not, focusing on that. But then my kids are getting up right around 6:30, 6:45. Everybody else is starting to get active, so I'm taking somebody to class. Excuse me, taking someone to school, and then I'm off to the gym. And right when I get to the gym, that's my time to get my physical right, get the body right. You know, I have the spirit, I have the mind, now the body, and I think 100% that works in my favor because a healthy mind, a healthy body, healthy spirit, all in tune with the market. I talk about stacking wins. So I've done a multitude of things going into the market with a positive mindset, and I'm seeing things for what they are, so that when I'm taking a day like today where I have a drawdown of $700 and some change or whatever, it's more of like I have so much else going for me that this is just a cog in the system today. It didn't go well. It's a moment. You continually move forward versus what am I going to do with my life? This is all I've been looking forward to for the entire day. Now I don't want to do anything else. After that, I'm trying to be done by trading for the majority around 11 o'clock. And then I'm moving on to other businesses. I have a credit repair business. I help people as a consultant for personal credit as well as business credit, getting them to understand how important not just your credit score is, but your credit profile. Public speaking engagements. I'm for hire all the time, coaching and mentoring for that as well, and just continually growing some other things as well and nurturing them.
Okay, and are you also offering service for trading coaching other than chat room?
I steer clear of that for the reason of I try to the one-on-one is very tough for my schedule. If somebody is very adamant, and of course, if they're willing, to pay the cost for that for my time of dedication, I can do that. But again, I try to really sift through that and make sure I'm filtering because I don't want to set false expectations with thinking just because I'm successful, like I'm gonna somehow it's gonna rub off. I can give those types of services if need be, but I have a lot going on, and so I don't really get in tune with a lot of that.
And what do you currently look in this market environment? Like, how are the financial markets doing, and how's your response to it?
Yeah, so I'm up for the. Thank goodness I'm up for the year. I was up for the year last year, profitable. I think it was like 14,000 or something like that. It's a down year by expectations of what I expected. But you have to remember that the markets, especially with trading and just retail traders, over 90% of traders lose, and I think that's even a bigger number now because of COVID and what it did there and brought so many people in. And so you can probably remember how everybody swore they were an expert, and I kind of identified that with sports where everybody thinks they're good until all of a sudden things start to go differently. You have to adjust, you have to adapt. Well, I think we all had to. 2022 was a big eye opener, where I had a red year for that, but then came back next year and came back green. And so one, it told me that I still am who I think I am. But then two, moving forward, just stick to the process. And so I just closed out the month of January up to $2,500. Again, starting off February on the downside, but plenty of the month left. As far as the markets go, it's definitely not what it was. It reminds me more of like 2017, 2016. I think the only difference is uh, I mean, the frequency of the trades are like that, but the actual longevity of the trades is not that, to where you have to take the profits a lot quicker, whether you're shorting, whether you're going long. For me, I prefer to go on both sides of the trade because I've become that good at it. But at the same time, expectations have to be controlled. I'm thinking sometimes I can get a dollar move when I only get 30, 40 cents. I try not to let winners come back on me, but sometimes just patience is a little bit too much. Sometimes I think I know too much, right? But my point is that it's not as consistent. The markets overall, the S&P 500, the Qs, we're hitting all-time highs. I mean, we're pushing forward. NVDA, the tech space, pushing forward. But when you look at the economy, people aren't working like they were. The wages aren't adding up. Groceries are more expensive. Interest rates aren't coming down as fast as we want them to as a collective body. The presidential election is going to be very pivotal for a lot of different things. There's a lot of things in question right now. And so you think about it, like how can the markets be so strong, but the economy is in such a destabilized, state right now, right? And that's just what we live in. And so trying to find and navigate through that, you have to be very careful and just understand that things can change at a moment's notice, and you just have to be ready to adapt.
Great. Just to end with last two questions. First, for audience, if someone want to start trading or just get familiarized with markets, how they should start from day one. And second question, just mention your socials if somewhere people want to connect with you.
Yeah, sure, man. So for anybody that wants to start off trading, again, for me, I'm only going to talk about the experiences that I've had. So I'm a six-figure trader now, annually still averaging about six figures. And so when you're talking about where I started, I'm always going to refer to Timothy Sykes. I feel like he's the legend, right? He's the person that really got this whole thing going on. Now it's different strokes for different folks. Once you get in there, you see, okay, I may like this, I may not. But as far as the foundation goes, he's tried and true. He's not a joke. It's not a scam, any of those things, right? um, Coming in with a humble attitude. I can't tell you how many people come into trading thinking like whatever little knowledge that they have about the market is going to somehow make them special. Well, it's not. It's just not. Like the market will humble you very, very quickly. And so scrapping your mind of what you know and getting into there and using the resources that you're given are going to help you um, shorten that learning curve that's going to take to start trading. Because I assure you, there is a learning curve. Beyond that, though, yeah, my social media, man, is just my name, Ellis underscore Hobbs underscore three. I think that's it with Instagram, Ellis underscore Hobbs three. So my suffix is Ellis Hobbs the third. On Twitter, it's Art of War EH3, just like it sounds, Art of War EH3. And yeah, man, if you want to know more about what I do else as far as helping people fix their credit, getting on the business side of things, establishing business credit, and being able to take advantage of that, you can definitely reach out, DM me. I'm always willing to help, always willing to add value.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the show.